Hello everyone, in this video I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Moeed Pirzada to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Moeed Pirzada's words. The intellectual, moral, inherent and psychological collapse of Pakistan's politics, what is referred to as regression in psychology, can be gauged from the fact that the biggest political story in Pakistan in the last 24 hours is not about any substantial issue, but rather that former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Imran Khan's sister, Miss Aleema Khan, was pelted with rotten eggs outside Kot Lakhpat jail. The debate revolves around whether the eggs were thrown rightly or wrongly. If you go on Twitter or other social media platforms, you'll easily see many ministers from ML-1 and both the Punjab and federal governments justifying this act through various excuses and trying to make it seem acceptable. Not just them, but many of their media mouthpieces are doing the same. There are even Twitter accounts that Punjab's Chief Minister Mariam Nawaz personally follows, which are also defending this. PTI has of course expressed deep anger and grief. On the other hand, ML-1 supporters are mocking the situation and taking great pleasure in it. However, a straightforward common-sense analysis, asking who is actually responsible, is something I haven't seen so far. I want to lay out a few points one by one. Throwing shoes, ink and eggs isn't new in Western politics. Over the past 20 to 30 years, there have been hundreds of such incidents. Disgruntled individuals have thrown shoes and ink on politicians in press conferences, public gatherings and even outside train stations. Typically, such actions aren't linked to political parties. People are sometimes briefly detained, but often no charges are filed and they're let go. But the situation in Pakistan is very unique. People, including those from PTI and some from the media, believe this specific act was orchestrated by the Punjab government under Mariam Nawaz, her police and her administration. Some even suspect that those who pull the strings from above, who show great affection toward the Punjab government, might be behind it. Now, what are the actual facts? According to Dawn, the police say they have arrested 2 women. They claim the women are actually PTI workers who belong to certain associations, one possibly a clerical association and another from general administration. The story goes that Aleema Khan didn't answer their questions, so they threw eggs at her in anger. But here's the problem with that. How did the women know in advance that Aleema Khan wouldn't respond to them? Why did they carry rotten eggs with them? This means the act was premeditated, a planned attack. The police claim they arrested them. PTI says the police are lying. According to them, there were no questions asked. The women were hiding behind the camera, took advantage of the moment, threw the eggs and ran. PTI further alleges that the police facilitated their escape. Videos of the incident seem to support PTI's version. There's footage showing a white Honda car with a license plate starting with SB, and women are seen running toward it. Punjab police officers are clearly seen helping them flee. When the car mistakenly turns left, police guide them to go right. Interestingly, Dawn investigated the car's number plate and found it belongs to a Suzuki Alto registered in Sindh, not the Honda shown in the video. This indicates that these people didn't just bring eggs, they were prepared. They even used a fake license plate. That's far beyond a random act of anger. So naturally, people suspect this was done under the orders or tacit approval of Mariam Nawaz. This suspicion is further fueled by how so many ML-1 ministers, influencers and media outlets are justifying the attack. Some are saying, yes, it's bad, but Imran Khan deserved it because they recall when a shoe was thrown at Nawaz Sharif, when ink was thrown at Khawaja Asif, and when a shoe was thrown at Arshad Iqbal, as if those were actions by PTI, and this is just payback. But the actual facts tell a different story. On March 11, 2018, Nawaz Sharif visited a madrasa in Lahore for an event commemorating Mohammed Hussein Naimi. 3 young men tried to throw shoes at him. They were caught on the spot and badly beaten by Nawaz Sharif's bodyguards. No one showed them any sympathy. Later, they were handed over to the police. Their names escape me now, but they were affiliated with Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, not PTI. A day before that, ink was thrown on Khawaja Asif in Sialkot. And a month prior, in February, a shoe was thrown at Ahsan Iqbal in Narawal. All of these incidents were connected to the constitutional amendment attempt in late 2017 regarding the finality of the prophethood clause. This related to the Ahmadis, or Qadianis, and sparked mass protests. It had nothing to do with PTI or Imran Khan. In fact, when Imran Khan found out, he condemned the incident strongly. He said such actions shouldn't be encouraged and that they were a result of the government's wrong policies, referring specifically to that amendment, not any opposition actions. At the time, everyone condemned those acts. It's also worth noting that back then, PTI was not in power in Punjab. It was in opposition. Whereas now, Maryam Nawaz is the chief minister, and this incident happened under her administration outside Kot Lakhpat jail. The women who fled, we still don't know who they are exactly. Back in 2018, the government arrested the men and beat them up. Their bail came about a month and a half later after heavy legal proceedings. So, comparing the two incidents just doesn't make sense. Some people even claim that forces above Maryam Nawaz are responsible. These are the same forces who allegedly sent trans people to disfigure journalist Roof Hassan's face. According to some, Maryam Nawaz ends up taking the blame for everything, even when she might not be directly responsible. Now, what's the logic behind targeting Aleema Khan in such a systematic way? It seems like, an attempt to intimidate her. Over the past 48 hours, Jang and Geo News have unleashed their lead anchors, especially Shahbaz Khanzada, who are reporting that Aleema Khan made a huge investment in the US, supposedly worth 450 or 480 million Pakistani rupees. They cite Ahmad Noorani, but Noorani himself says that his story was from 2018, and honestly, nobody paid attention to it back then. He says the investment is just around $1 million US. Not a big deal at all. Let me explain as someone who lives in the US and, walks around just to eat burgers. A standard McDonald's franchise here requires an investment of $1.7 to $2.5 million. Even the smallest ones cost $500,000 to $1 million. So Aleema Khan's investment isn't anything outlandish. If $1.5 million equals 450 million rupees, then by that logic, many of us living here are extremely wealthy. I have a house on mortgage here. Does that make me a billionaire back home? This is how Jang and Geo frame stories, very theatrically. In the same 48 hours, Sher Afzal Mawat was also brought in to attack Aleema Khan with accusations. A few days ago, his two sons were arrested and then released on bail. So what does all this mean? I don't yet fully understand the logic. It seems the real goal is to divert attention from Imran Khan's Toshakhana case, which has now been postponed until September 8th. The media has shifted entirely away from it. There's also this ongoing saga, the Kalimullah Salimullah story, a metaphorical name referring to Rana Sanola and Khawaja Asif. First, Rana Sanola said that person, implying the army chief, had a notification valid until 2027. Then he said it's until 2030. Then again, he contradicted himself. According to Dr. Shahbaz Gill, Khawaja Asif has now said that this so-called field marshal won't be getting an extension. Gill even published headlines claiming that the field marshal is out. I've spent hours watching YouTube clips doing AI-driven research, trying to verify whether Khawaja Asif actually said this, but found nothing conclusive. What I did find is that Khawaja Asif said in 2 programs that the current hybrid political system is very strong. He proudly supports it. He mentioned that during the previous government, General Bajwa, Imran Khan and General Faiz used to sit in the Prime Minister's backyard plotting together. That was a hybrid system too, which they used to call democracy. But now, he says, at least we're honest. We don't call this democracy. We accept it's a hybrid system and we're proud of it. Just a day before that, he called it dictatorship and even tweeted against Supreme Court Justice Athar Minala. Interestingly, Khawaja Asif's Twitter account is mostly filled with retweets, mostly about Palestine and Gaza. He rarely tweets about himself, but Khawaja Asif Sahab, apparently to my understanding, has not said anything so black and white or done anything that Dr. Shahbaz knows, but I don't. However, what I do feel is that Dr. Shahbaz is running his own calendar or clock, which now has 85 days left regarding General Asim Munir Sahab's extension or notification. There is some pressure either in Islamabad and Lahore or between GHQ and Rawalpindi that is quite significant. So my advice to Dr. Shahbaz and to all of you is that everyone should keep this clock running. And according to this, now there are 85 or 84 days left for General Asim Munir Sahab's extension or notification. There is no clarity at this stage about what exactly will happen. But as I am saying, a pressure point is ticking, tick, tick, tick. And there are 2 or 3 kinds of options because in the Pakistan Army Act, an amendment was made in November 2024, which resulted in the terms of the Army Chief, Air Chief and Naval Chief being extended from 3 years to 5 years. The upper limit, which is usually the retirement age according to societies worldwide, was abolished. This converted the system into a kind of monarchy. So, what are the options now? Well, there are 3 types of options, actually. The first option, which seems likely to me after hearing Khawaja Asif Sahab's rather angry talks over the last 24 hours, is that there will be total silence, and it will just be assumed that Army Chief General Asim Munir will continue until 2027. Keep in mind, after the amendment in November 2024, Khawaja Asif Sahab had made a similar statement on a television program or in front of the media, saying that General Asim Munir Sahab would continue under this constitutional amendment until 2027. For General Asim Munir, the problem is that if he continues this way until 2027 and no new notification is issued at this stage, it means his sword will keep hanging over the Sharif family, and the Sharif family's sword will keep hanging over General Asim Munir. So, in the best strategic interest of General Asim Munir, because all generals' strategic interests are tied to their own community affairs, he really has no greater strategy than the strategic interests of Pakistan's generals. His best strategic interest, then, is that a new 5-year notification be issued at this stage so that after some time he can get rid of the Sharif family and bring in a new political class of his choosing. The Sharif family is also aware that if they grant him a 5-year extension, then after a year they will be replaced by him. That relationship, honestly, will not last. All the cards will be in their hands. So the Sharif family has 2 options. Either they do not issue the notification at this stage, or they issue a 2-year notification, while the general's desire would be to get a 5-year notification. The next 8 weeks, I must say, will not be easy. These 2 rival groups should not be misunderstood. The Sharif family and all their ministers are not very happy with General Asim Munir Sahab. General Asim Munir has become very powerful, and the way he treats them, as you've seen from his image in China, they are not very happy with him. But, they have no space left. If they had better relations with Imran Khan and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and there was not so much mutual distrust and enmity, the Sharif family would have more cards and space. But they don't have space now. Moving on, Senior Punjab Judge Mansoor Ali Shah has written an open letter. You can find it in Pakistan's newspapers. It's addressed to Chief Justice Yahya Afridi, in which he politely and respectfully requests a response to his correspondence and letters. He says he has written many times and raised many issues and now publicly demands answers to 6 questions at the Judicial Conference, scheduled for Monday, the 8th of September, marking the new judicial year of the Supreme Court. You can read the questions yourself to understand the issues. One very important question is, why has the Practice and Procedure Committee, which was constituted, not been convened? Why has it become redundant? Secondly, why was the decision made by consensus that petitions related to the 26th constitutional amendment would be heard by a full court, but then a bench was formed instead, bypassing the full court? He demands answers. But honestly, I doubt Afridi will respond at all. When we reach that situation, we will discuss this further in the next day or 2. An interesting and, somewhat piercing development has taken place which really should have been published in Pakistani newspapers, but hasn't. Stories have been appearing in Dawn and Tribune in the last 72 hours about how Shahbaz Sharif gave chloroform or an intoxicating effect to Xi Jinping and secured many commitments regarding CPEC, that's the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, with promises flowing like milk and honey. However, Indian newspapers claim differently. I've read detailed stories from 2 Indian sources, Economic Times and Financial Express, which claim that Pakistan's CPEC has slowed significantly. The main flagship program ML-1, or Main Railway Line 1, has been stalled because China hasn't been funding it for a long time. The Chinese doubted its viability, payments to Chinese energy and hydro companies were delayed or unpaid, and their workers and engineers were attacked. For these reasons, China was hesitant to provide final financial commitment. But by November 2024, or earlier, China reaffirmed it would financially support the project. Indian newspapers claim Shahbaz Sharif tried hard and made many requests to Xi Jinping and Chinese officials for $8 to $10 billion funding. But China rejected it and instead handed over MOUs worth $8.3 billion related to electric vehicles, batteries, energy projects, AI-driven projects and so on, with no funding for ML-1. Economic Times speculates on the background of this situation. Financial Express provides a better explanation, claiming Pakistan has signed an agreement with the Asian Development Bank, the ADB, for around $2 billion for the Karachi-Kotri segment of ML-1 construction. The ADB has also approved about $460 to $480 million for the Reko-Dik project. This is the first time a Western multilateral financial institution, like the ADB, with influence similar to the World Bank and IMF, is financing a flagship CPEC project. The newspaper also analyzes that this counters earlier perceptions that CPEC was only a China-Pakistan bilateral deal excluding the rest of the world. Pakistan is initiating a huge mineral development project called Reko-Dik, with mineral exports planned. Though initially it was said exports wouldn't happen and value addition would be done inside Pakistan, this value addition seems lacking. There's a need for a railway line to transport materials from Reko-Dik to ports. China was unwilling to invest in this, so the ADB provided funding. This speculation can lead to different conclusions about Beijing's position. The Pakistani army chief recently said they will never sacrifice one friend for another, indicating he wants a soft landing away from China to the Western camp. The exact truth is unclear, but the ADB funding of a flagship CPEC project and Reko-Dik funding is significant, with strategic implications. Moving on, in the United States, Donald Trump often shocks the world with, his statements. At the moment, the US Department of Defense is being renamed the Department of War or War Department. Until 1949, the US Department of Defense was called the War Department, but it was renamed to signal America's desire to end wars and its non-aggressive posture. The new department combined the Army, Navy and Air Force. The name change will likely lead to Secretary of Defense being called Secretary of War again. Trump also made another statement saying it seems Russia and India have been lost to the dark world of China, which is, well, a bit strange because the iPhone I am recording on was made in China, as are many things around me. Indians often ignore such statements. Russian President Putin announced at a seminar in Vladivostok that the Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline agreement with China is finalized, which will supply China with 50 billion cubic meters of gas. This will be one of the largest energy projects worldwide, undertaken by Russian company Gazprom. Pricing will be open market, similar to Europe. The background is that Europe gradually stopped buying Russian energy after the Ukraine war, so Russia needed a new market. Both sides benefit. Russia gets a stable buyer, China gets a stable supply, and relations improve. Two other developments I will mention in detail later. First, Tesla CEO Elon Musk was offered a salary package worth $1 trillion over 10 years by Tesla's board, contingent on raising Tesla's share price to $8.3 trillion. The board believes Musk could do this if he focuses on Tesla rather than politics. I will discuss the impact of this in the next vlog. Second, a painful development at the Venus Film Festival, Voice of Hind was released on 3rd September 2025. According to the Washington Post's film correspondent, it is about a 6-year-old Palestinian girl from Gaza who months earlier was trapped in a car that was hit by Israeli Defense Forces firing. Her aunt, uncle and 4 cousins were killed in the vehicle, drenched in blood. The girl was pleading for her life, but the control and operation room personnel hesitated to rescue her, fearing for their own lives as Israelis target everyone. Later, the rescuers were attacked too. Those who watched the film cried, thousands queued up. You can read this in detail. My advice to General Asim Munir at GHQ is that Israel has never been so unpopular in history. So don't take a wrong strategic step now, like in the 1962 or 1965 wars with India over Kashmir. Israel has never been so despised in the Arab world as it is now. Avoid wrong steps which might harm you instead of helping. That wraps up our translation of Moeed Pirzada's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.